Hey YouTube, KG here. So on the table today we have the Knives Banter. As always, I'll be sharing my opinions and thoughts of this knife to help you make a decision before you purchase. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for new content. Alright, let's get started. First off, I'd like to highlight that Knives, they normally come packaged in a pouch. The knife came with the pouch. Open it up. What you have inside is you have a microfiber cloth, plastic it came with, a real nice sticker of the actual knife, yeah. A couple of WE and CVV stickers and literature about the company. So WE Knives is a China-based company, but the fit and finish is fantastic. This also came with a pretty nice lanyard. It has a bronze bead right there as well. So yeah, just a nice touch that none of the other companies offer. Cool. So let's jump on to the size comparisons. So the Wee Banter comes in at about 6.5 inches overall, with 2.9 inches in blade length. Comparing it to the Paramilitary 2, that's 8.3 inches overall, with a 3.5-inch blade, and the Para 3, which is 7.3 inches overall, with a 3-inch blade. All right, so as you can see, it's shorter than both, significantly shorter than the PM2 and a little bit shorter than the Para 3. Moving on to some CVV comparisons, we have the CVV Praxis, which is 8.5 inches overall, 3.75 inches on the blade, and the CVV Elementum, which is 7 inches overall and 3 inches for the blade. And just because the Banter is such a small knife, let's compare it against some smaller knives as well. Here it is against the Civivi Odium, which is 6.2 inches overall and a 2.6-inch blade, and against the Spyderco Little Native, which is 5.9 inches overall and 2.5 inches for blade length. So not a huge knife by any means, comparing it to the knives that we have on the table today. So let's start off with the aesthetics. So it's a very clean and simple design. The blade is, I'd like to say, either bead blasted or a very fine stonewash finish. We have a stylized pivot over here with a WE branding. Thumb studs for the deployment. The screws are flush. This is a T8, so is this. The lanyard hole over here. And on the clip side, we have T8 pivot screw over here as well, which is flush. And on the knife blade itself, we have the designer, logo, WIUG, which stands for "What is up, guys?" The standard greeting of the designer, which is Ben Peterson. You also have the, I don't know if you can see, but the metal is S35VN stamped on the blade over there. Here's the simple pocket clip. It's deep carry, and the screws and the actual clip is flush as well, nested into the liner. So what I really appreciate about the fit and finish is everything is flush. So if you look at it from here, there's nothing protruding on the pivot or on the screws or even in the pocket clip. The branding on the clip just shows a simple Banter stamped up over there. And I'd say the clip screws is pretty interesting. It very much makes it look like a pen when it's in your pocket. Fit and finish is just great. If you notice on the scales, there are no sharp edges. Everything's rounded. And this is not a 90-degree. It actually goes down a little bit, angled down. That way there are no sharp edges at all in any of the scales. There's jimping over there. And yeah, so overall a very nice, simple, clean looking knife. What's interesting as well is this knife only has one liner. There's only a liner on the lock side, and the other side is just solid G10. I'll be posting a disassembly video later on, and very, very interesting construction for this one. It's open back construction, so it's easy to clean with just some hourglass standoffs holding the screws in place. Moving on to usage. So this is a full four-finger knife. It's very small. So initially I thought it's something that might be too small for my hands, but as you can see, I have a full four-finger grip. Granted that the pinky is just right there at the edge, but I can still get my full four fingers gripped over there when locked into place. As again, the blade is S35VN, so it's a powder steel, and it's in my experience has very good edge retention and decent toughness and corrosion resistance. The tip is not very thin, so it's pretty robust. So you can do your stabs and light prying with the tip without the fear of it breaking off. For the deployment, you have thumb studs on both sides, so it flicks out really well. You can either thumb flick it or reverse flick it. The placement of the thumb studs is perfect, and it's not really difficult to deploy the knife with just a little bit of force. On to the last category, is the knife fidgetable? Yes, very much so. So the action of this knife is fantastic. It's drop shut. You can just flick it with your thumb. You can reverse flick it, and just as you clear the detent ball and the lock bar, you can just flick it down and it'll drop shut. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I spend a lot of time just fidgeting with this knife. You can do that as well. So yeah, it's all good in the fidget factor area. Final thoughts? And if you look at the knife, it's not very impressive. It's a very simple, clean-looking knife. It was clear that designer created the knife with usage or utility in mind. I mean, really nothing fancy, no fancy materials, a very decent blade steel, very clean lines, like I said. G10, which is it's not a very rough G10. It's not smooth as well. It's just somewhere right smack in the middle. So it provides some texture, but it's not as grippy, or it's not going to eat up your pants pocket as other G10 scales do. So so personally, it really took a while for me to pull the trigger on buying this knife, just because it looks like plain Jane. But having it for the past few days, carrying it around the house, whenever I'm going out, having it in your pocket, it's a really good user blade. I do have a couple of nitpicks or things I'm not very happy about. The design's not perfect, so but just maybe some areas to improve on. So on the grip, I just wish it was like a half inch longer. Obviously, that's subjective because I really have big hands, but for people with smaller hands, it should be perfect. The thumb studs, personally, I think it would have looked better if it were maybe in a light bronze or silver finish rather than this black one over here. And the biggest thing for me is with most liner locks, when you fold it, there's a little bit of metal that sort of guards your thumb from the edge right there, over there. Like, let me take out the aluminum, for example. So when you disengage the lock bar, you see that the flipper tab sort of hits your thumb. That was sort of a, I guess, safety measure for you not to cut your thumb, right? And like here on the odium as well, if you flip it out, the flipper tab sort of guards you, and it hits you right in the thumb before you can fold it down. Like in this, even on the, let me take the Spyderco one. Give me a second. So if you look at the Tenacious, even if it's a non-flipper, if you fold it or if you disengage the lock bar, there's that metal unsharpened piece that hits your thumb. Again, it's a safety measure for you not to hurt yourself, right? With the Banter, there's really nothing stopping you from dropping it down to your thumb. See, granted it'll hit your nail, but It still would have been nice if there was something, a safety measure to prevent that from happening and to prevent injuries altogether. So those are my nitpicks, but overall, I love this knife. I think it's a very good everyday carry. Very utilitarian piece, nothing fancy, nothing flashy, gets the job done. The blade steel is good. The edge is really, really thin. It's very, very slicey. Granted, this is it's not a factory edge. I put in a polished edge over here at 20 degrees per side. It's very, very sharp, very, very slicey. Right? So, hope this review has been helpful for you, and thanks. And I forgot to mention the pricing on this knife. So, if you buy this from the US, comes in at about $108, $109. If you buy it locally, I've seen it go for around 6,100 Philippine pesos, all the way up to 6,600 bucks. So it's not a value piece, but it's nothing crazy as well. This comes in right down smack in the middle. I'll also be posting some links to some local retailers just in case you want to check it out. Okay, thanks.